Your message has to be direct, talking to them, what's in it for them type message. Make them act. Here's how you act.
On today's episode, Courtney and I have the pleasure of sitting down with Kory Rykman. Kory and his wife own 5 insurance agencies, manage over $30 million of premium. They're on pace to grow over $4 million this year alone. Last month, wrote over 627 insurance policies in a single office. We're going to break down how that happened, from leadership style to team size to marketing, go into the mindset, just an overall absolutely amazing episode. So with that being said, let's start the show. Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. We are your hosts, Michael and Courtney Weaver, and we have a special guest with us today, Kory Rykman. Kory, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Man, I am so pumped to have you on. What I just see a most recent Facebook post that your office did like almost 700 policies in a single month in June. Is that right?
627 last month.
No big deal.
I think we better start there.
So that is a really great starting place. So what does that even look like? I mean, to write 600 policies in a given month, I would love to dive in, number one, for you. So what does time management look like? Because you all have 5 agencies spread between you and your spouse, plus you're a real estate investor. So how are you managing your time as a leader?
There's a saying, like, the crazier of a schedule you can manage, the more crap you can take, that'll dictate how successful you are. And I kind of live by that. I want to see craziness throughout my day, as much activity, dip my toes into every facet of a business I can. And I feel stale if I'm not busy, doing something and moving forward.
If I were to look at your day, because busy is a loose term. That means
Right.
a lot of different things. So if I were to look at your day, what would a crazy busy day look like?
So it is a loose term. It's not about the hours you put in. It's about what gets done in those hours. A normal day for me is, first things first, you wake up and chug water. Got to chug water in the morning. I don't stare at my phone right away. You got to give your brain some time to turn on. But the mornings aren't the busiest. Like I don't work from home. I have to be in my office. So I actually turn on the work when I get to work. And with insurance, there's not a ton you have to do once you've built a team that's really good and they're performing well and they have management within the system. So my main role is, aside from sending emails to the proper people as they come in, here's a customer needing this, a vendor needing that, I get that to my managers who handle it. Then I mostly focus on the marketing aspect of the business. That's my primary role at the agency. Is I got to make sure that the leads we have are working, return the leads that aren't working, figure out how to get a better vendor or tweak the filters we're getting from a vendor. There's a lot of work that goes into the mail that we send out. So I send a ton of mail out, 75,000 pieces on average a month. And there's a lot of software cleaning that has to get done. So that sometimes takes 3 or 4 days just alone in a month. But honestly, by about 11 a.m. or noon, the insurance part of my day is done. It's mostly done. You just handle all the stuff that came in from overnight, and I just heavily rely on my staff to handle the day to day.
Okay, so let's dive into staff. So how many producers do you have to produce 627 policies in a single month?
We have 12 producers and then a staff of 5 service people, also a telemarketer. Not all producers are super studs. We do have quite a bit, like 4 or 5 that sell between 65 or 70 items a month, up to 100, 120 in some cases. So you do have those super A players. And then the rest average about 40 or so policies items a month. So the mix of those get you, we've all this year, every single month this year, we've done between like 525 to 625 items a month.
Okay. What's separating your top 5 from your the other 7 or 8 producers? Like what do you see? What's one characteristic you see that stands out with those top 5 producers that are A players?
If I really had to pick one characteristic, it is they ask for the sale, just more. The minute they get an inch of interest, of space, they're like, okay, let's do it. Let's get started now. And they're just like accustomed to asking for the sale 6, 7 times until the guy's just like, okay, fine, let's do it.
Okay.
You want it to be something else. Like you want it to be this like innate ability or, like they have a superpower, but it's something as simple as asking for the sale. So I want to put a pin in that for just a second. And I want to go back to the self-managing team, because you brought that up of really having a team that can self-lead and self-manage. So if I'm listening to this and I want to get to the point where I have 12 producers, 5 service, a telemarketer, and we're doing 600 and some policies a month. When you look back, was there 1 or 2 decisions that you made that kind of pushed it over the edge to where they were more accountable, or really had that culture of holding themselves as leaders and managers within the own agency without you being there? Was there like 1 or 2 decisions that you made?
I think so. I think I can pinpoint 2 decisions that made the biggest difference. The first is the type of people I hire. They have to be self-starters, self-managing type people. We do not micromanage like in the least bit at this agency. That's something very important to me. And part of the reason I think most of my staff has stuck with me for so long, 6, 7 years for a good chunk of them, because they can do whatever they want. As long as you produce, I don't care if you work from 10 to 2, if you work from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., nothing matters. And so if you find the right person, they thrive in that kind of environment. So when you interview people, you're not right every time, but you can kind of sense when they're just more there. They're more active talking to you in the interview. You can just tell like they're going to be able to go out and get it on their own. You don't have to answer all the small questions for them. They figure stuff out. So that's a big one is, you'll interview some people and it's just dry in the interview. You're just like, there's no way this person needs to be heavily managed. And that's not the kind of person I want to hire. So that's the first. And then I think the second is I led from the front for many, many years. I mean, I was on there hammering calls, doing tons of quotes, closing policies down, managing service work, etc. And I think they saw that. If I want it more than anybody else. So even if they want it half as bad as I do, I'll probably be happy with that. So I think they saw that, and I led by example.
All right. So my follow-up question to that is not that you're not leading from the front now. It's a different type of leadership, but maybe your new hires don't see you in that personal production as much anymore. So what does leading from the front mean to you right now with your leadership style and where you're at in your agency?
It's definitely not the same. I'm in the office every day, so they're able to reach me on my phone, on my email. Like there is not a single text or call that goes by from my staff that I don't pick up, and I'm not super present in our conversation with them. So from that standpoint, they can see how involved I am and how interested I am in having them succeed. So I spend as much time as they need. I have two sales managers that they've been with me for years. They're two of my highest producers, but they're also still producing. So not only are they managing a team of 5 or 6 reps, but they're also high producers. So in essence, they're leading from the front as well. So as long as they keep up the good work, their reps are going to see, okay, well, management still works just as hard as I should be working. So now the only other like top level management that they get to see, because a lot of them work from home. I'd say all but 3 people work from home. They don't necessarily see me, like you said, on the phones, leading from the front like I used to. So instead, it's more of just kind of just checking in with them regularly, getting them on the phone. I'm interested in how their days are going, how their weeks are going, what trends are they seeing. It's a very open feedback loop. And I think having that much open communication shows my heavy involvement still, maybe, and that's leading from the front.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm curious with the sales managers, when did you make that promotion? Like, when did you make that switch and go, oh, I need somebody else in this position?
Relatively recently. It was this year, early part of this year, month 2 or 3. And we just got to a point. Well, to be honest with you, I knew I needed it for a while. But I just wasn't ready to pick which 2 reps it was going to be and leave some others out. I wasn't. So it took me some time to make that decision and make it happen. But the thing that pushed me over the edge was there's only one other agent out producing us in the Southeast. And I know him very well. He's come over my house. We've hung out a lot. I really respect the way he operates his business. And so I picked his brain for quite a while, and really the biggest difference between the way we run our agencies was that middle management. Everybody was reporting to me, and it wasn't as good as it could be. Let's just say. And so when we switched to this management style, I feel like the newer reps really embraced it. They have somebody besides myself that they can go to, and they're in the trenches. They know the problems they're dealing with, the objections they're getting, all of that stuff. So I'm excited that we did that. Really, the 2 guys that we put in place have been crushing it. They've really embraced it. There's a dangling carrot, if you will. There's a lot in it for them. I'm just hoping to keep up the good work.
So my question for you would be is because this is still something that's fresh. So you're 4 or 5 months into this change. So
yeah,
what struggles have come up within the last 4 or 5 months that you've had to overcome, if any, and what has doing this to your business done to it, not only from a tangible standpoint, but I'd love to know what it's done to you as the leader, business owner within your management and ownership style.
There's been some minor struggles, really nothing to complain about. There's been a couple of the veteran reps that still come to me regularly, which is fine. I'm just coaching them slowly, like, hey, this is something you can ask one of your managers in case I'm not available. And part of the reason I wanted the management style actually is data. We do tons of quotes, and I haven't been the best at managing the data. Like, I can tell from a top level, this is the marketing that works. Here's about what it cost me to gain. But I don't know if I'm throwing money away buying zip codes over here. How many quotes did we get from that? I haven't really dug into that. So what they've been able to do is slowly get the reps putting the data in to a software that I can run these reports from. And so that's part of the reason I did it, is I want to focus some of my efforts on that top level marketing. And, I'm spending all this money on marketing. There's got to be some holes in it. So maybe I can repurpose, find out what they are, and repurpose some of those funds into the top performing marketing things we got going on. So they're helping me get that. And in turn, we're going to be able to sell more. There's going to be more funds available for them to work hotter leads and close more deals. So that's been huge.
Okay.
I love that you bring that up too, because I think even when we run our business, anytime you go to there's a new goal, you're trying to hit the next level, you feel like you're having to run a lot of different ships of, okay, so if I'm going to coach this person, I need to know what the whole process looks like of how much am I spending on this? What's the conversion rate? What's the closing rate? What's the training look like? I'm curious in this whole process because I appreciate your vulnerability in sharing this. Because it sounds like a results only work environment. Did that change? Have we increased or decreased, or what does that look like when the sales managers came in, or did that just automatically start driving production up? Did your expectations change?
No, really, not yet. Everyone's goals are still the same, including the managers. They're still on the hook to sell quite a lot of insurance. But the golden rule of sales is what's in it for them. So in order to get them on board, my managers, to kind of what I wanted, I had to put something in place on what's in it for them. And ultimately, if they can get us to this other level that we picked out, I'm able to make more income, and I'm going to use that income to pay them bonuses, pay them higher salary. So that's what's in it for them. And then the other thing you mentioned, Michael, was what has it done for my time? And that was one of the other reasons I wanted to do it. So I wanted just a better managing sales force with its data driven. And secondly, I do want to focus some of my time in the real estate sector. I absolutely love it. So I'm passionate about it. So it was important to build that middle management team. So halfway through the day, I can focus on that business.
Yeah. Okay. No, I love that. So I do want to touch base on just your marketing just for a second. I don't want to get into the weeds or anything like that around what exactly are you doing from a marketing standpoint, but I would love to know between 12 producers, what is your, and to write 620 something policies a month, unless you've got centers of influences built, which maybe you do, I would love to know roughly what a marketing spend, for an agent out there that, hey, if I need to feed 12 producers, what would my marketing spend look like? On average, what would you say is your average marketing spend?
Yeah, I can answer that. So we spend about $5,000, sometimes a little bit more, maybe $6,000 a month per rep. So if you combine all the data we buy, all the live calls we do, all the mail we send out, it's really closer to $6,000 now per month per rep in marketing.
Okay. That's fantastic. I thought you were going to say 5 or 6 a month total, not per producer. That's so good, man. Oh, man, that's
producer,
good.
yeah.
I know. If you would have said 5 or 6 total, I'd been like, damn, okay.
No, the secret sauce is not a secret sauce. It's literally how many quotes can you do, and how do you get quotes? You got to get in front of people. There's just no other way around it. And for me, historically, I think my business changed big time several years ago, 5 years ago, I'd say 6 years ago. I did try to focus out of the gate in referral-based business. My first hire was a guy that would knock on doors, going into loan officers, going into realtors' offices, et cetera. And that took forever to get off the ground before people started referring us stuff. And I read a book, No BS Guide to Direct Marketing, Dan Kennedy, and he's got a couple no BS books. But really I learned, I was like, you have to be directly in front of the buyer. not the mortgage officer who's going to send you 2 or 3 a month. If you can get in front of thousands of actual decision maker buyers, that's what I changed my strategy to. And I started buying actual leads. I started mailing people in my backyard, small, and now it's huge. But I want to get directly in front of those people. And the moment I did, my business blew up. So if there's one thing that has really changed, it was going directly to the consumer. So now I love meeting realtors and I love meeting loan officers, but I'm not desperate for them. I don't need them like I was in the beginning. You know what I mean? We're going to provide the best possible service to them moving forward still. But the secret is, let me get in front of all these houses right here every other month until they call me.
Okay. Direct mail, 75,000. Man, we tried direct mail our first year in agency and we lost
I still have PTSD.
Now we didn't have any money back then. So we were doing like $1,000 a month, but it was like a negative $12,000 ROI on that. And so, but I love in your market area because that is what I find with some marketing. It works really well in some areas and some it just doesn't work. And maybe
it still doesn't work for a lot of agents. And I've said this many times and I'll say it again. It's not the fact that it's direct mail, because I promise you direct mail works. That book helped me understand it. It's the messaging. So you can't use any canned messages that your company offers. That's just, here's these, the way he said it was, if you're one of these big companies, your marketing is like, we're here when you need us. Hi, think of us. We're here when you need us. When it's you, little small business, like your message has to be direct, talking to them, what's in it for them type message, make them act. Here's how you act. So it's not a pretty letter, if you will. It's very direct. It's like, you're overpaying for home insurance. I've got one that I think is, I know from facts, not from data now, that is performing really well, but it's geared towards the first year renewal. So that person just bought their house this month last year. So I'm going to mail them, and my message in there says, your home value has increased in the last year. And if you didn't pick your own home insurance and you let your loan officer pick it for you or your realtor pick it for you, you have no idea what your deductible is. And this goes on like that. I was like, you're undercovered. You don't even know. You might have unreliable insurance. Call me. Here's a sample quote. And it's very direct like that. So that is the key to mail. You can't use some message the corporate came up with. It has to be crazy.
Amen. When does the corporate message ever work? But no, let's not get into that.
Well, you're speaking directly, you're very focused. You're speaking directly to the pain point of the person that you are trying to attract. So yes, I will speak to that all day.
Oh, I love that, man.
Don't get caught up in the corporate.
No, that's
Come on,
good.
I know
That's
it's
good.
generic.
The company I represented back then, they're like, you can only use our stuff. And it's like, well, your stuff doesn't work. So that's why I quit doing it. So anyways, Kory, I dig it, man. So, all right. So we just covered everything from team to your leadership style to marketing. I'd love to dive into what keeps, obviously things are going great. You said you wrote over $3.5 million in premium last year. You're on pace to do well over $4 million this year. What's the mindset? What keeps you going, Kory? What keeps you hungry? What keeps you motivated? Because you very well could be like 99% of folks in your situation, kick the feet up on the desk and just start collecting them paychecks. So what keeps you motivated and just hungry within your business and wanting to continue to take things to the next level?
I'm very, some people are different. They want time, they want freedom. I still like stuff. I like toys, I like vacations in nice places where I can finally relax. And I like cool cars and I love investing. So I want to be able to have the funds to do all of that. So I'm not where I want to be per se. That's why I'm still doing what I'm doing. So that's really it. I don't know if I can put it any more eloquently, right? For one, you could see other guys out there doing more than me, that were on the same path as me. So if somebody else can do it and I feel like I'm similar to them, then why the hell would I not try? And I see that, like the one agent I was telling you about, he helped manage $100 million agency. Okay, well, we're at 30 million. Like, if somebody else can get to 100, we can get to 100.
And you want that $3 million Bugatti too. All right. Let's
For sure. For sure.
Okay, so Kory's a car guy. And before we hit record, we were talking about cars. So if you want to share, if you want to put it into existence of your dream car, we would love to hear it, Kory.
My dream car is a Bugatti Chiron. It's got a W16 engine. So, you know how they have a V8. They took two V8s and made it a W16 and then put 4 turbos on it. So it has like 2,000 horsepower or something like that. And it looks incredible. And it goes like 300 miles an hour. And it's comfortable with air conditioned seats and stuff too. It's epic.
That sounds like a rocket ship.
That's supposed to be good. They are rocket ships. They're wild cars.
Like, I don't even know what I would do in that thing. I'd be like, ah! Okay.
That's why they're $3 million. It's a $3 million race car. It's yeah.
I love it. I love it that's what's motivating you. I'm all about choice too. I think nice things, having nice things, going nice places, being able to let your money work for you. I think that's a great goal to always be striving for that.
Yeah. We're in the same camp. So I do want to ask you before we conclude here, because this has been a great conversation. So you own these agencies with your spouse. So we get asked a lot because we work together. We've ran multiple businesses together. Guys, how do you do it? Like, how do you structure your day? So you don't got to go into structuring your day with your spouse, but what have been some struggles that you and your spouse have had to overcome as business owners working together a lot that you'd be willing to share? Like one struggle over the last 4 or 5 years that you guys have had to overcome.
Yeah. My wife, Lindsey, is a very strong woman, like super strong personality. I love that about her. That's the number one thing I think a man makes and decision he makes in his life is the person he chooses to marry. That could screw it up or that could really make it. And I've always been, a go-getter, if you will. And so when I met her, she was a lot like me. Great business mind, great work ethic. She was working 2 jobs when we met in college. And it was great. So she was actually the one that got me into insurance. It was all her idea. Her uncle was an Allstate agent back when they started in Sears stores. He was in a Sears store, opened his agency that way, grew to the biggest agency south of Macon. So he was in South Georgia. He just recently retired. And so she was working with him a little bit throughout college. She was licensed early on and helped write policies, do enrollments and stuff like that. And I was always like, insurance is just not quite sexy enough. I don't know if I want to do it. But she graduated, she started an agency just like he did. And for a while we were on 2 different paths. She was working her business and I was in corporate America, working my way up the sales ladder and the management, doing that sort of thing. And I kind of saw some writing on the wall where my goal coming out of college was like, I'm going to be a CEO of Fortune 500 company and make 26 million bucks a year doing it. And that's still an awesome goal. I wouldn't mind doing that still. But on my way up, there was a lot of turnover. It was always the top guys that got turned over, the directors, the VPs, et cetera. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go down that route, but there's going to be every 3 years a job change because they're being bought out, downsized, whatever. And then I saw the income potential within insurance. And I was like, well, I'm already in sales and marketing and I see the potential here. Let's do it. I decided to do it. I bought a couple guys out that were retiring. So she was just a $3 million book. I bought another $3 million book. And for the first 3 or so years, we worked heavily together in the same office. She had that corner, I had this corner. So we were in front of each other, 24 hours a day. And that was the only time there was a little bit of struggle. Her being so type A, me having a lot of type A in me, we grinded gears a little bit, right? Nothing crazy. It was hard to shut off work.
Yep.
When we got home from spousal stuff, when we got home, it was always like work. And it was in the early days, right? And in the early days, it's just extra stressful, heavy hours. Stuff's always going wrong. So there was some bump in there, but it just takes time. I was very focused on reinvesting every cent I made for years back into the agency. So we lived basically off her paycheck, and I just took every dollar we made and reinvested it into new hires, more marketing. Again, as that came to fruition, more new hires, more marketing. And eventually we were able to get to a place where she could step away a bit more. So she now works from home. I come into the office. She helps manage the service team. So the service team has a manager, and then that manager reports to Lindsey. And then I manage the sales team. So it's actually worked out beautifully because her strength is service and managing their personality, and my strength is managing the sales personalities. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
We're nodding heavily because we know
Understand.
exactly what you're talking about.
Did you put any like rules or guidelines at home to where you couldn't talk about work after like a certain time in the evening?
I didn't. No, absolutely not. I absolutely love talking about business. I'll talk more than any other topic about business. She was the one that wanted me to shut up about work. Yeah. Yep. So I had to listen.
Okay.
Yeah. We actually just went through this not too long ago where we had a conversation and I'm like, yo, I need to be your wife right now, not your business partner. So can we like transition for just a second? Like, I love where your head's at, but I need a moment where we're husband and wife. So I feel Lindsey. No, I know where she's at.
No, this has been fantastic, Kory, man. We appreciate your time. If somebody wanted to follow you, connect with you, what would be the easiest way for them to do that?
Facebook, Instagram, just look for my name, Kory with a K. I'm the only one with the spelling, Kory Rykman, and you'll find me.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, Kory, thank you so much for your time today, man. We appreciate you. And for all of those of you that are listening, thank you so much for your time today as well. As always, time is the most valuable and important asset that we all have. We appreciate you spending time with us today. Go out, make it great.